What is up, beautiful fish lovers, and welcome to Pup Daddy Reef. As you can see behind me, this tank needs a lot of help, and there's a reason why I haven't got to addressing this, and that reason is my water supply. So I just moved to a new place, and in the process of moving, a bunch of stuff in my rock died. It released a lot of nutrients, and basically I'm starting to have a brand new algae bloom. I'm basically gonna have to go through the whole cycle again. Now, to help relieve some of the pressure of that cycle, I need to up my water changes. But there's one problem. A couple problems, actually. The first problem is my water pressure in my new apartment is very low. It took me almost 2 days to make 20 gallons of water with my RODI system, and that produced a lot of waste. So today I'm going to show you, if you're doing low water, one of the ways and a couple of products that you can use to increase your water output. Also, I want to minimize the waste water that I'm producing with my RO system, because I'm paying for water and I'm trying to minimize expenses. So let's open up this new device that's going to help me a lot. So I actually have two devices right here. The first one is the Water Saver Upgrade Kit from Marine Depot, and what this is it's basically a second RO filter that I'm going to put on my RO filter to basically cut the amount of wastewater in half. So basically the wastewater from the first RO filter will go to the second RO filter, and then that will reject some water, but some of the reject water from the first one will go through my system. So this is going to help me make water quicker and also reduce waste. Another way to reduce waste is to increase your water pressure up to a safe amount. If you have low water pressure like me, and mine is exceptionally low, you're gonna need this just to function reasonably. But what this is the Smart Buddie Booster Pump by Aquatic Life. And originally I was gonna go with the bulk Reef supply booster kit. It's slightly cheaper, actually not much cheaper, but due to the pandemic, a lot of this stuff has been hard to get, and this was available. I still had to wait a little bit, but now I have it. And this is pretty cool because it's more than just a pump, but it also has some features that auto flushes your water system. And if you're a lazy person like me, the auto flush system will help you out, help keep your RO filters cleaner longer. If you're not a lazy person, I've read that the flush on this is a little short. And if you already, flush your own systems a little longer, of course, this isn't going to be keep it cleaner, and you might not like that. But for me, I'm lazy, and something's better than nothing. I'm really excited to open this up and see what's inside. So let's dig in. So now we're going to open up the Smart Buddie water filter system, and I'm just going to grab it right here. Basically, it opens up pretty easily, and I got the packaging. And here it is. It's like a massive block. Now, if you don't have a lot of space under your sink, you might have to consider how big this block is. But overall, I think it's going to be just fine. And let's open it up here. Basically, we'll unwrap it, and it's kind of cool. It's a nice, super contained unit. And we have the power plug is on the front here. And then in addition to the power plug, there are 6 ports. And it looks like they're all labeled for the direction they come with the RO power supply. Inside, there's also the manual to show you how to get started. And that's about it. So let's get started on this. There's a mirror on the top. I don't know what that's. All right, so we have the Smart Buddie Booster Pump here, and there's the 6 different inputs and outputs. Now, everything on top is going to be an input, and then on the bottom it's going to be an output. So basically how it's going to work is you'll have your line from your pre-filters. This will be your floss and your carbon blocks in here, and then there's going to be an output here to the membrane. Now this is going to be the initial pump that's going to increase the pressure. It needs to be after those pre-filters because you don't want to overpressurize your carbon and your filter. You just really want to pressurize that membrane. And so once it comes out here, it's going to go through the membrane, and then this part here is the input for the waistline, and then here is going to be the output to the drain. So this is going to be your either black or red waistline, probably red. And then this one here is going to be the top one from the good side of the membrane, and this is going to be, or after your deionization cartridge. In my case, this is going to be after deionization. And then this one is going to go to the waste. So basically, in from after your pre-filter, out to your membrane. These two are going to come out from the membrane, this side from the dirty, this side from the clean. And then this one is going to go to trash, and this one's going to go to your collection. When it starts, there's going to be an 18-second flush period that's going to help clean out your membrane. And also there is a automatic shutoff valve that when it's going into your RO reservoir and it feels back pressure from like a float valve that is stopping the water from continuing to flow into that reservoir, it'll sense that pressure and actually shut off the Smart Buddie, so you won't be pushing against something. So this is a Smart Buddie Booster Pump from Aquatic Life, and we're going to get a little bit more into details of how to install it right now. All right, so some things that will make your life so much easier are to have some sort of cutters for a plastic tubing like this. This is actually one for the larger tubing, but it works for the small 1/4 inch as well. And then a trick for getting these locks, these push fit locks off of the tubing, is get a quarter inch Allen wrench, a 1/4 inch just wrench, and then you can push it along the side and basically use it to pop things out really easy. So this is gonna make your life a lot easier, and you probably have it around your house. So I already started taking stuff apart, but basically we're gonna wire this bad boy. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's internal to this that we are not going to need. So when we look at the top of this pump here, you're going to see a number of things that we need to get rid of.
All right, beautiful fish lovers, let's get right into it. So what I'm showing you here is the top assembly, and a lot of this stuff we're just going to rip right off because it's included in the Smart Buddie itself. This includes this anti-backflush valve, which is right inside that Smart Buddie. And there's also something in there, the flow restrictor valve is also in there. So we're going to remove that, but to make things easier for us, the first thing we're going to do is just pop off this RO membrane. On the bulk Reef supply things and most other ones, it's just held in there by a clamp, so no big deal at all. We're going to use our handy dandy wrench to pop that out, and I like to take these little tabs and put them back in just to kind of remind me which was the waste line and which is the other line. You just really need it in one. Of course, on the other side, it's pretty easy to remember because there's only one input on the other side, and of course that is for the water that has not been filtered at all. So I'm not going to add a tab there. I'm just going to use my little wrench to pop that out and get this membrane completely out of my way. And we'll set that aside and put it back in later, but we want to get this anti-backflush backflow valve out because we really don't need that at all. So we're going to disconnect that. And then the other thing that we're going to rip off, obviously here, is this flow restrictor assembly and this flush assembly. Now the Smart Buddie system will do the flushing for you, and it will do the anti-backflow. So it's kind of an amazing device. It's much more than just a pump that you add to your system. It also manages, flushing, backflow, flow restriction, all of that other stuff. So now we have all that out, and there's basically, nothing here other than, we have our little flow meter, and then we have our filters. Of course, they're all lined up nicely. Right there is our bypass valve. We're going to keep that. That allows us to bypass the RO membrane if we ever needed to, but I'm typically not going to do that. And then this third one here, this is the output after we've gone through our sediment filter and 2 carbon blocks. This outputs to this little Y here. And then that's also connected to the pressure sensor. So that tells us how much pressure we have coming from our water system. Of course, with me, I had absolutely no pressure, which is the reason why we're doing this in the first place. So it goes through all those, comes out here, hits that Y, and then goes out there. Okay, so now we're going to start wiring things. Basically, we're going to pop that out because this last filter pump, we need a cable that basically goes from the last carbon block directly into our Smart Buddie ATO. And it's from this last carbon block to the ATO where the water is going to get its boost in pressure because it's a booster pump. We should have no problem getting enough pressure to get through the carbon blocks and the filter block. So I'm getting it ready, cutting it to size, making sure that it'll fit real nice. And this is going to just quick, easy snip with those clips. It's going to go in this top right port, and that is the very first port that you should wire. That is where your intake is for the booster pump. That's going to pressurize everything. Now, of course, the outputs are directly below the inputs, and this is going to go to the that Y valve that connects to both the pressure sensor, and then that combined channel basically is going to go straight to your RO system. So it's going to go from there into your RO membrane, and that's about it. You want to do a good tug to make sure that everything's locked in place, and then we'll cut another line to basically connect the whole system. All right, so now I'm putting in the RO filter, the first one, because now I have two because it's a two-stage in there. And the big mistake I made right here is this is the shutoff valve for the whole RO system. So I'm just kind of thinking, okay, let me take that off there, and boosh, water goes everywhere. So always turn off the water at the source, right under the sink, or you'll end up with a mess like I did here. All right, guys, it's time to get real. Enough messing around, cleaning up water. Let's wire the rest of this sucker. So we're going to take this line. This is the output line from the pump. It's also connected to the pressure gauge that tells us what pressure the pump is delivering to the RO membrane. We're going to connect it into that single port. That side of the RO membrane with that single port is the side that the input is. Next, we're going to think about, what do we do next? We got to get that reject water out of that membrane, but we also have to cut that line the right length. So I'm setting the Smart Buddie right next to my RO system to make sure that that black line that I cut is going to be the right length. Once it's cut, I'm going to install that line. That's going to go right into the reject side, and then on the Smart Buddie system, we're going to take it and put it right into the center top of the Smart Buddie system. So quick snip with the awesome snippers definitely will make your life a lot easier. I chose to route everything around the back, and then it's just a push and another push and a pull, and voila, we're all connected there. Now that bottom spot right below that, that's going to be the reject water from the membrane that goes into your drain. And so I'm pushing that in right now. And I just wanted to mention that this is the setup for a single RO membrane. If you have two RO membranes, you might wire that black wire into your second RO membrane and repeat the process over again. So now I'm clearing out the input port for the good water that comes out of the RO membrane. So the good water, this blue line, that will actually go back into the RO Buddie again. And perhaps it gets another supercharge. I don't know what's going on in there. But the port just below it, this is the final output port from the RO Buddie. What you're going to do then is put that line in, and that's the line that goes directly to your downstream deionization system. So the very final cable to go out of there is going into your DI system, and they also have all these nice little clips to stop your cables from popping out. So make sure you put all those in there, and you are wired up. The line leaving the DI side of the reservoir goes to my trash can. The trash can has a flapper valve that creates back pressure that will automatically shut off the Smart Buddie. Alright, so I just plugged it in. Look at this thing jiggle. It's jiggling. I don't know why that is. Might have to balance that somehow. The first outlet I plugged it into didn't work. I plugged it into a new outlet and it worked just fine, so I think I'll just have to keep that in mind. There's a little indicator light here that lets you know that there's power. Overall, I think it's working. And now we're running around just over, so you can get that, just over 60 psi. Before I was running about 19 psi. So I got about 40 psi from the pump. So here we are. We have now installed the second membrane into the system. This is the Marine Depot membrane upgrade kit. Comes with this little bracket here, but it's so simple to do. Just the output of this membrane, you put in the input into this one, and then the output of this, the wastewater, you put back where the wastewater input is for the Smart Buddie ATO. And the nice water out here, the purified water, just goes out into here. So it's a pretty simple. You can also see that I have this connector here that combines the clean water from both membranes. So both membranes' clean water is being combined and going into the Smart Buddie ATO, and then it's coming out here and going through the deionization system.
and all that water comes over here and gets dumped into my water reservoir. So we are making some salt water, and it's gonna be a great day. Yeehaw! Look at that thing rip roar. We're making water like no tomorrow. And now that we have a supply of fresh water, of course the tank is magically cleaner. You can see all the algae's gone. Just kidding, it's been a few weeks since that first clip. Actually, way more than a few weeks. So now the tank has plenty of water to keep it nice and clean. And these coral frags, they are just growing like crazy, especially this guy here. This, what is that, a red dragon? Doing really well. And I'm still trying to get rid of anemones. So anemones are my enemies, but this porcelain crab, you know, he doesn't mind them one bit. He loves living in them. So I think we'll have to keep one of them. But so far we got 3 anemones in an anemone prison, and we're looking to catch some more. It's just gonna take some work. It's difficult to get them off this Pucani rock, so keep that in mind if you're getting Pucani. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Puff Daddy Reef. I'll catch you next time.